Welcome to the First Existentialist Congregation of Atlanta. My name is Cindy Lou Who, and I'll be facilitating this morning. Glaser is the author of a dozen books related to spirituality and wrote a free weekly blog for 10 years for progressive Christians. He lives in Ormwood Park, and he's brought his friends and neighbors with him today. I'm really looking forward to this, Chris. Please welcome Chris Glaser.
Thank you, Cindy Lou, and thanks, Mick, for the very appropriate songs. Cindy Lou, the quotes from Carl Sagan are just perfect for what I hope to talk about today. And I want to thank... Thank you. I want to thank you again for inviting me. I always enjoy coming here and enjoy being challenged to talk outside of my Christian realm. So I'm grateful to be invited again. I also want to thank Stell for arranging it. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I begin with an amplification of the paragraph I sent in for your newsletter describing what I hope to talk about this morning. Poets and scientists, philosophers and novelists and mystics, composers and songwriters alike have suggested that we, you and I, are composed of star stuff. Star stuff. Matter that once formed stars. Take a moment to breathe deeply and slowly look at your hands and your arms and your legs, and figuratively explore your brain and your eyes and your ears and your skin and your teeth and your tongue and, yes, your heart and all your most personal and hidden parts, and realize that all your atoms, all of you, once belonged to the bodies of stars and planets, as well as to planet Earth and its living things throughout Earth's history. So we're very historical in our bodies. Your body may even include recently theorized and as yet unknown and unseen dark matter and dark energy. That's amazing and humbling and inspiring. Amazing, humbling, and inspiring. As you know, most of my experience speaking to congregations has been based on sacred texts, such as the Bible or the Torah and Quran, as well as the writings of spiritual authors and mystics from many, many traditions, Buddhist, Confucian, Rumi, to name a few. Often it's important to search out the earliest and most original texts of these traditions to avoid the editorializing and biases of translators and others who have handed those texts down to us. But I've come to believe that there is no text more sacred and original as the very origin of the universe and the very origin of our evolution. And just as scientists examine ancient documents to find the earliest expressions of a religious tradition or text, so scientists today are examining the universe to understand how all of it and all of us came to be. They can do this because we can look backward in time just by looking up at the night sky. What we see, the light of stars and planets and the shadows of dark matter and energy, and not easily detected gravitational forces, past and present, are being studied for clues as to our origins and our futures. Lately, I've been reading and watching and paying attention to a lot more science stuff than religious stuff, seeking the wow of my and your existence. As much as I have appreciated sacred texts that suggest much the same, watching programs like PBS's Nova and reading people like Stephen Hawking or Carl Sagan stirs my spiritual imagination to wonder, why me? Why now? And how lucky we are that the universe came into being and birthed us. What's the cosmos up to? No wonder that progressive theologians like Bishop Spong, late in his life, devoured scientific material that gave a broader view of the nature of things and a more complete understanding of how the universe and this earth and its creatures came to be. No wonder the Jesuit theologian and paleontologist Teilhard de Chardin posited a future evolution of life. To paraphrase and broaden a popular Christian slogan, the universe is not finished with us yet. Which also means the universe is not finished with you yet. It's not finished with me yet. That's fantastic and amazing. It means it's a good time to be an existentialist and live life as if we're on the precipice of something new after eons of the effects of the universe's Big Bang and the evolution of life on this planet, and most probably on other heavenly bodies and even beyond all heavenly bodies. The digital age and the age of science has made us more aware of invisible realities yet to be discovered and to be evolved. What a lucky time we live in. This is the time when imagination is most needed to address everything we faced. The climate crisis, poverty, hunger, ignorance, prejudice, war, borders, political divisions, and other human limitations. St. Ignatius told us centuries ago that the spiritual life needs imagination to grow, and we have to cultivate it. Let it be seated in us. My husband, Wade, interrupted my writing this presentation to tell me that our Japanese maple had shot up roots into a nearby pot, formerly filled only with potting soil. Our Japanese maple was showing the kind of imagination we need to grow spiritually, out of our borders and boundaries and closets, out of our boxes and pots, out of our frameworks, out of our bodies, beyond our so-called limitations. I became a writer because, as a child, I recognized the alchemy of putting words on paper. One of the first books I read was a children's mystery entitled The Phantom Yacht. As I recall, and my recollection has no doubt been altered by the 70 years or so that have passed since my childhood reading of it, two girls who lived on a coastal bay observed a yacht on the horizon that mysteriously appeared and disappeared. The reason the book was called The Phantom Yacht. I don't recall if the mystery they resolved concerned a smuggling operation, but I do remember being fascinated with the way the writer of the book, of the children's book, could make the boat appear and disappear at will simply by writing the words on the page. What power words had to excite and enchant and mystify. I thought at the time, that's what I wanted to do when I began writing as a child, to fulfill a desire to excite and enchant, inspire and mystify readers and listeners alike. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up. No doubt I felt the same reading sacred texts or hearing mythical stories that captured my imagination. Stories that needed to be examined and interpreted to reveal their meaning. No wonder I was drawn to literature in all its many fictional and non-fictional expressions. Too bad we have citizens wanting to ban some of these expressions. Too bad, think of the book and film Fahrenheit 451, which is the temperature at which paper burns, about a government that wanted to eliminate many of the great works of literature, requiring those who wanted to save them to memorize the stories and ideas that the books contained. I especially appreciated words that were uplifting. And given that this is Black History Month, it feels appropriate to single out one of my earliest role models in this regard, my high school principal, James B. Taylor, an African-American man of faith who could, in his everyday speech, poetically sculpt words into a kind of scripture, a kind of prayer that lifted the spirits and souls of all whom he taught and led. I wanted to be like him. Poetry was, and is especially, dear to me, whose every line requires our full attention, followed by what I call a thoughtful pause, a meditative moment for the words expressed to sink into our minds and hearts and souls. So I want to conclude with this poem entitled Seed Song by the spiritual writer Joyce Rupp, a poem uplifting us as we approach spring in a few weeks and as we proceed in our deliberations and elections as a democracy. I invite you to imagine this as the voice inside of you. Imagine this as the voice inside of you, singing to be released, a prayer for personal liberation, a song for spiritual growth. This is a poem, as I said, from Joyce Rupp, Seed Song, from her book Fresh Bread and Other Gifts of Spiritual Nourishment. I am the seed, and I want you to hear this as your voice inside of you. It requires a little concentration, but we can do that. I am the seed, so small and dry, lifted in the hand of the silent sower. Into the earth I fearfully fall. Darkness covers me. Silence surrounds me. The terror of my heart is the only sound to keep me company. All that is me huddles together, trying desperately not to surrender any part of myself. Why was I planted? I cry out. Why am I here? I entreat. Take me out into light. I cannot bear this deathly dark. I weary, I weaken. The days become long. I can no longer fight. I surrender. In this lonely place of waiting, quietly I sense a penetrating warmth. It surrounds me, it fills me, it blesses my pain. In a moment of peacefulness, I forgot my fear. I let go of myself, and suddenly the husk that holds me weakens and breaks. No, I scream, I am losing myself. But it is too late. The husk is cracked. I cannot be contained. It is then that I sense a power deep inside of me, encouraging me, let go. Let go. Let go. It is an energy that pushes the husk until it falls away. As it slips aside, my eyes behold color. Ah, can it be? A tiny glimpse of green? How could that be, I marvel? There was never green in the heart of me, yet it is there. Each day it slowly stretches upwards to where the warm seems to be. I become less of a seed. I am losing myself. But the pain I once knew is lost in surprise. Something wonderful is greening and growing deep within my heart. Days go quickly now. I become one with the small stem of life. Oh, the glorious moment when, breath of spring fast fills my face. I move through the hard earth and taste the world which awaits my arrival. From within my tender shoot comes a soft sound. I listen. I hear. It is a song to the sower. O sower of seeds, did you always see this gift of green that was hiding in me? O sower of seeds, how came you to prize the beauty within that I hid from my eyes? O sower of seeds, the husk has been broken. All praise to you for helping me open. Accept now my praise, my thankfulness too, for the seed you have sown and the gift that you grew. May you lead me to others who await your good word, so the seeds within them can awake and be heard. Amen. Alleluia. Do you still do conversation after talks? I've forgotten if this is, yeah. Okay, let's open it up, see what you have to say.
Poem was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can take credit for finding it. Joyce Rupp is it's book.
About me.
Yeah. It's all about us. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
When you speak of the light looking up and coming from the storm, it makes me think that in fact the past is the future, and that we need to respect that and take it. I know South Africa, some of you may know, I just read the book by Trevor Noah Crime. And he brought to my mind really clearly the sense of the tribes in South Africa. There are so many languages that are available to be spoken. And it made me think of my own forefathers, where they met tribes all over this land and were unable to communicate, even if it was to demean them, even if it was to make them, as in apartheid, but still in their place, so that we today would still have that. We didn't see it that way yet. So that makes me worried about if the past is the future.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Buckminster Fuller and his wife were looking at the hearth and the fire in their living room, and she said, "What is fire?" And he said, "It's a gift from the sun," which, in high school we learned about photosynthesis and the trees receiving the power of the sun. And then, of course, the wood and the fire. And then that is transformed, the wood is transformed. I thought that was an interesting statement, the gift from the sun.
I like that. Thank you. Other comments? Yes.
I especially liked the concept of the writer creating with her words, the reality of the book. And it just made me remember that each of us is the writer of our own words each day, and the choices we make and the attitudes we take about what happens to us.
Amen. Thank you. There's another hand back there. We're out there.
I enjoyed your talk. I've read Sagan, I've read Hawking, and Jack Spong is the reason that I first came here. But the most impressive thing to me, and certainly I did not know, was why the book was called Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that cable ignited at 451 Fahrenheit. So I've been enlightened. I enjoyed the talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
As a retired drama and English teacher, I just want to say that you may have not chosen, you say that you can't claim any talent there because you just chose the poem, but the way you integrated it entirely into your talk was amazing for me. And also for me, poetry is a performance. And the person who presents it helps us carry it in our hearts. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
With your talk, reading the personal and the political into it yourself was amazing for me. That story of how someone can write. I'm now going back to how I used to sneak into the library and sneak away books to read them on my own, and the stories carrying me away as they did you when you read about the two girls seeing the ghost ship or ghost yacht away. And the final poem, the idea of the seed and how the seed is only good in us if we can plant ourselves and open our own seed first. And how we have to break through the husk, which is the wall. And sometimes we put a wall up to keep people out. But we also put a wall up because of our fear to keep what we truly need to be doing inside. And I really like the way that home brought it out and your residents and really helped bring it home for me, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I think what we believe is kind of tentative because talking about the seed and the growing, and all the science that went into that thought and idea, I didn't learn it. I mean, I didn't find it out. I didn't prove it. I'm believing somebody. It's like, I have to admit, if I wasn't taught that the earth goes around the sun, and somebody taught me the sun goes around the earth, well, I haven't proved that that's possible. It does look like it goes around.
Yeah.
I found out late in life that I am a descendant from Andreas Ossiander, who helped Copernicus publish his book. This is my 13th great-grandfather. And he probably saved the book, according to some people, by writing a preface to it that says, oh, you don't have to believe that the sun, earth goes around the sun. This is just a mathematical kind of thing. Well, I have never proved that math. I don't know that, no trigonometry, but calculus, no. But I believe things. I pick and choose. And some people pick and choose things like QAnon. We're going to believe that. But somehow it doesn't hold for my belief system. But be careful what you believe. You never know where to believe.
Yes, that's good advice. That's good advice. And so, yeah, and thank goodness for publishers as well. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't actually sure. I'm not sure how this will come out. It's basically a question that actually refers to what the gentleman just said and what you alluded to in the beginning. So you say how lucky we are that we can sort of now understand it from the other stardust, right? See, if I interpret correctly, science gives us a picture of the world, right? I'm sort of, because this knowledge is not that old, right? Doing science like that and finding out questions about the world, where does the universe come from, 200 years old. And it feels like that now we sort of reached the point that science has answered all these big questions, right? It doesn't really see that there are many big questions left to be answered, right?
Yes.
It explains it if you purely look at it from science. But it feels like that, so I think we're lucky that we're at this point where we can know these things, and based on science, understand the world, understand where we come from, understand what happens around us. And it seems like a big answer, but it feels like maybe it's not recognized. So I'm wondering.
Well, answers like that also bring on further questions. So, yeah. So that's what it is for me. Just have the opportunity to be alive and to be able to think and work, etc., and work with other people. Just leads me to the questions of, well, why? How did this come to be? And I love the Carl Sagan quote about we are the universe's way of knowing itself. And I've written stuff like that because I just understand that this is how the universe came to know itself, was by creating us.
So I think it's very special, right? I think it's really this moment in time, these few generations.
Yeah.
We're really in that position, right? But it also feels like a responsibility, and it's as if like okay,
that too, yes.
We sort of understand all this now. We can understand, almost the whole universe. But then if you look around you, it seems
about is about, it's not about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if that's a question.
Yeah. That's another talk, I think. But thank you. Yes.
As an addendum to my story, because my grandfather wrote the preface and the book wasn't banned by the church, 80 years later, Galileo could pick up the book and read it and say, oh, this sounds good. And he taught the belief. Of course, they tried him as a heretic, and he survived, saying, but it does move hundreds.
Yes, yes.
And it was in the 1990s, the church finally forgave Galileo.
I thought that was funny and ironic when that happened. Finally, the church got around to it.
But the person who came later, Pope Gregory, I believe, who wrote a dissent against that.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Yes, hi. How are you? You.
Okay, I'm Charlene. Hi.
Yes, hi.
I was just reminded when you were reading the poem that even if we have left a belief system, that sometimes the language and the imagery and the poetry that grows out of that belief system still can have some guidance and enlightenment. And what were your words? Inspiration, enchantment, and the other...
Mystery.
Mystery. It could still have all that for us. And so I was thinking of that. For some reason I was reminded today of Gerard Manley Hopkins.
Oh, yes.
One about Margaret grieving over the golden grove I'm leaving, because it was about sadness and how we all have sadness at our heart. Whatever the explanation is, it's always there. And that reminded me of that.
Right, and he's the one who wrote the words, "The world is charged with the grandeur of God."
Yeah.
If only we held on to that idea that the world itself is sacred.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Yes.
In addition to what we're learning through the sciences and human language, as I'm aging, I'm feeling closer to the language of the earth and nature itself, and that capacity to open to those energies and how that understanding of the earth supporting us, how we come from the earth and how we are connected in other frequencies as well as the ones we are more comfortable and familiar with, that it's that combination of what we can create and what is here for us to open to that I think brings us a fuller sense of our place in this connection and evolution.
Thank you, and I love the way nature interrupts us. I was in my study working on this presentation when Wade came in and told me what had happened with the Japanese maple, and I thought, well, that's interesting. I wanted to put it in the talk, which I did. So, I love the way nature informs us, inspires us, and influences us when we let it. And frankly, more people have to be inspired so that we do address the climate crisis unselfishly. It's not just about our survival. Any other comments? Yes?
Yes, only a couple of things. I'll talk so everyone can hear me.
Good.
About our Charlene's, the poet Gerard Manley Hopkins. It's the poem that starts, Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove on me? Well, one of my favorite writers, Francine Prose, P-R-O-S-E, I've only read 3 of her books. Her 2008 novel was called Golden Grove, and it was influenced by that.
Oh, wow.
Really good book. And the thing about Galileo, the Pope at the time, Maffeo Barberini, Pope Urban VIII, he was very progressive in some ways, but he met, I think, 3 times with Galileo Galilei, and he wasn't tortured, he was shown instruments of torture, he was threatened with torture, and he wasn't murdered, but he was exiled. So anyway, it's a damn shame.
Well, yeah, thank you for more information about that. Gives us more to think about. Yes, yes.
I say, as we think about the last 60 years and how much enlightenment has come in race relations and desegregation, LGBTQ, women's rights, and the things that are happening now, it seems like we were growing up like the seeds. Now people are saying, some people are saying, get back in that shell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's threatening for some people. Yeah. We have to keep growing. Thank you very much.
As existentialists, I appreciate that we are all on our own individual journeys and we're doing it together and have different belief systems. And the other thing as an existentialist specifically is living within paradoxes and the questions. We can know and not know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And the same things.